Oh, hey, what's happening there, YouTube? It's Brian House here for Housework, and what I'm leaning on right here, right behind me, represents the last week of my life. I've spent the last 5 to 7 days designing, prototyping, and fabricating what I like to think of as the ultimate welding and fabrication table slash cart. It rolls around. So there's a myriad of different things that kind of make this cart unique. I custom fabricated some slots in the tabletop that I made a custom hold down for it, some pliers, cradle, a magnet, the wheels that are on it, they pop up so that you can roll the table around, but yet it's got leveling feet. It's got custom made hooks that we made on the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. So there's just a lot of little details that are involved in this build, and I just can't wait to share it with you. So without further ado, screw it. Let's do it. Kind of thinking about leaving this plate just flat and without all the holes in it and the slots, but I'm going to go ahead and post on Instagram and do just see if what other people think about actually leaving this plate, or would it be useful to have the holes on both sides. So far so good. I've got the bungs and the feet already put in and welded, and I've got most of the pieces cut for the table itself. And yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty close. I just don't want to put it all together if I really think I'll use the holes on this side. So so far I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's coming along. I definitely need to put the shelf down there. I've got my pieces cut for that. There's some over there, and the goal is to get these two devices nested down inside of there, and hopefully figure out how to put my tank in there somewhere. But yeah, that's the goal. The tank might fit in between here in the middle. I have to measure that and just make sure. But that's where we're headed with it. These feet and the bungs I got on Amazon, and they are super high quality. I'm actually really impressed with them. They're about $11 a piece, and they're a 1/2 inch 13 thread. And I'm still just waiting to hear back from everybody on the consensus on the top plates, as I could go ahead and cut this one with more holes and such. That way I have the spots to tie things down, or if they say, you know, hey, leave it flat, then I'll just go ahead and weld it all up. And I think this is the right way to do it. You know, I thought about not having these feet all the way up, maybe just like hitting the bottom of this frame piece. But what I like about bringing it all the way up to the bottom of the plate is that now all of the weight in any movement or any banging or whatever force is now transferred down through the leg all the way to the ground. And I think that makes a lot of sense to me. So it seems pretty sturdy so far with just being tacked together. And it seems fairly square for the most part. A little bit off, but that one's pretty good. A little bit off there. That one's good. So nothing that concerns me at all. I'm digging it so far. Can't wait to actually start using it. This cavity here, I've got 15 inches between here and here, and both of these welders, that clearance is about right. In fact, it should work out pretty well, as I'm going to be putting some plywood up here as a shelf that goes all the way across. So I'm thinking that that makes a lot of sense. These are just the cheap angle magnets that you get at Harbor Freight. I don't know, you pay a few bucks a piece for each one, and they pay off in spades. Nice to have. And then obviously using a square, I can go in and just kind of make sure everything is squared up. For the most part, I'm not being super precise with this, just because it's a welding table, but yeah, it's coming together pretty well. So I've got the base all tacked together. It went together pretty easily. It's a pretty simple design, as you can see. These crossbars are 34 inches. These are 12. And it's basically a huge cube, or rectangular cube or whatever. Not too bad so far. So pretty much everybody was right down the middle on having the holes in the top and then having a flat plate on the one side. And what I decided to do is leave it like this for now. I'm going to tack it together and with some easily accessible welds. And then I'm going to, if I don't like it and I want more holes, I'll pull the tacks off of this, throw it on the plasma table, and make it like this one. My goal for these slots is going to be what I did here, is to have some hold downs like this. We're going to custom make those on the plasma table. I think that'll be pretty cool. So far so good. I do have some wheels that are like on retractable plates that will go down on the sides so that we can roll this thing around. It'll be essentially like a cart, big heavy duty cart, and be a little bit top heavy, so we'll kind of want to watch for that and all. But I think once the welders are on the shelves, I think we're going to be okay. And the bottle too. Bottle's nice and heavy. So yeah, man, coming together a little bit more now. Gonna cut the shelving and then just mock it up, set the welders in there, set the bottle in there, and see how it all looks. All right, so I cut some shelves out of some scrap plywood here, and I just routed over the edges just to kind of make it look a little bit more finished. I'm gonna put a coat of black paint on those, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. It's sitting pretty level. The leveling feet are working out great, and I'm loving the feel and the look of it so far. It looks pretty good, and I can't wait to get all this stuff onto it and then get the wheels on it so I can roll it around and give it a test run. All right, nice thick coat of latex paint. Just give it a once over quick and let this dry out here for a little bit and get it all put together. I want to weld this on, so I'm going to see if I can sandblast off this paint. Just where I'm going to weld it, around these holes and along the side here. Okay, so the sandblasting worked pretty good. Get the paint off, and now let's weld these up to the legs and see if this thing will roll around. All right, the other side. All right, it's really starting to shape up. I've got to do a few things before I can load the welders into it. Need to finish my welds, but I really wanted to just kind of see how it was all going to come together before I did that, in case I needed to cut something out and rework it. But if you haven't been listening to the podcast, you should. It's called Work For It. It's up on Spotify, Apple, Google, Stitcher. You can find it anywhere in there, so give it a listen. Today's episode is going to be pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and create a little shelf that will weld to the bottom of this and stick out just a little bit, and then we'll be able to put the bottle up under there. The problem is the clearance issue from the top of this valve here to the bottom is like 36.5 inches, and I've got about 37 here. That doesn't give me a lot of room to turn the knob to turn it on and off there. So I think if I've got a little bit of room to play with down here, so if I drop the shelf down, say an inch or so, I think I weld that together and then have it stick out this way, I'll be able to get to the knob just fine up here. And then I'll have to create some sort of chain system or latch system to hold it in place. But that's, so far, it's just a rudimentary idea. I got to go in CAD and design this little shelf. It's not going to be too tough. Okay, so here's the rudimentary design. It's just basically a little shelf, 7.5 inch diameter with a little 2-inch sort of straight spot there that will allow for us to weld up underneath this, and then also probably just grab a piece of 1 inch and drop it down, or I'm not exactly sure I'm going to do that yet. I got to figure that out, but I want to give us a little bit of space here down below so the shelf will stick out. We're going to cut it out a 1/4 inch. I think that's plenty strong. 1/4 inch would be fine. So. You can see this turned out pretty nice. I'm really super happy with the Langmuir Systems Crossfire Pro. It's really working out well. Now you can kind of gauge what I'm going to be up to down here. Something like that to hold the bottle. And then I'm going to drop it down a little bit to give me a little bit more clearance. Thanks to Ian Maas for that idea. We chatted about this yesterday on the podcast, and he was like, hey, got any room to drop it down? And I think I do. I got about 1 inch. So I'm going to drop it down and weld it up. All right, so here's my spacer. This is just a piece of 1x2 tube, and it'll fit right on there like that. I hit it with a sandblaster real quick to clean it all up. This was a piece of scrap. My dad actually gave me a few pieces of steel from his garage. About 6 months ago. I thought I'd never use it, and here we are using it, which I really dig. So yeah, a little piece of my dad in this build here, which is kind of cool. But we'll run some tacks along there, and then we'll test fit the bottle. All right, now I feel like we got plenty of clearance under there, and this is, it's hard to see, but there is clearance under the floor, about 3/4 of an inch there, even with the leveling feet down. So I think this is a big win. Now we just need to secure the tank on the frame. I'm gonna do that with chain, maybe in a hook or something. Not really sure yet, but big win. Thanks, Ian. Now we know our concept works here. I'm going to go ahead and just finish all the welds. Really loving this build so far. Really, really do. Got the chain secured here, tank secured. Not 100% sure if I'm going to leave it that way or not, but for now it works pretty good. It's got a tech screw up in there, welded that side, and then cinched it up. All the welds are in. Not too bad. Overall, I'm really happy with it so far. Now I got to get I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the welders over to it, and then we'll set the tops on and tack those to it. Yes. So I'd like a spot where I could take the ground strap and just connect it right up to the frame. And I was about ready to cut out a little tab or something, and then I realized that I had like 100 of these platen brackets that I screwed up, and I figured, you know what, this would work just fine. We could just tack it right up here and clip the ground strap right to it, and then whenever you're using the table, you'll always have ground. Done deal. I wanted these two pieces to have no difference. I wanted to be able to slide things across this table and not have them get caught up here. So I'm doing this is take this really strong magnet and basically lay it on the seam, and it flattens everything out. It just pulls it right together so that I can just pop a tack underneath. I already did it on the other side, so we're nice and flush there, and that's the best way I could come up with it. Okay, so one of the big reasons I wanted to build that welding table was because I wanted to have something a little more sturdy to mount my vise. So I want to make some hooks for all the hoses and whatnot that are, and torches and torch leads and whatever. So I just drew up real quick in CAD a couple of nested hooks here. I'm going to cut them out, see how it goes. But yeah, I think it's good early morning plasma cut. Why not? All right, these are my snips I use to clip the wire off of the MIG torch here. So if I get a little bit too much length here, say it's sticking out, I use just side snips or whatever to solve that problem. So I want a spot for these on the cart. I think that's kind of important to me. I just, like everybody, I always drop these somewhere and then I can't find them. But if there's a little mount on the table, I will use that and hopefully not lose these as often. So I'm going to go into CAD. I'm going to draw something up. It's going to be a fairly simple thing. It's just really going to be a slot. And I want it to kind of fall down in there a little deeper. So I'm going to go like say 1.75 inches, maybe 1 7/8 on the slot. And let's see what else we got here. About 3/4 of an inch wide. And then we'll create something so we can just cut it out and mount it to the table. I love having my Crossfire Pro table, man. Oh, baby, it's sweet. All right, so here's what I came up with. Fairly simple drawing, right? We're just gonna send it to the table and cut it out and mount it to the welding cart. Okay, so let's check it out, see if it fits. Oh, yes, perfecto. Yeah, I like it. Now we just got to see where's the best spot to put this. The hooks are a success. I really like that, and I've got quite a few of them now, all the way around. I've got one more thing I want to try. You saw these slots that I have in the top here, and those are for hold downs. I've got some over here on this table here. It's kind of it's a piece of metal that holds down things. You can clamp it down, tighten it down, or whatever. And I've drawn that up in CAD, and so I'm going to go ahead and cut one of them anyhow out on with 1/4 inch. And then see if I can bend it to heat it up and bend it and mount it to the table as a hold down. At that point, I think we're going to be very close to calling this almost done. I mean, you know, there's a few things left that I'll probably end up doing, like painting it and so on, but I'm excited to get started using it. So let's cut out this hold down and see if we can fashion it together. And I had to add one final touch to this, which is this this old vise. It's an old Eclipse vise that was gifted to me by a lady who was like a friend of a friend, and her husband Russ was a maker. He used to make just about anything. He was an accomplished carpenter, builder, and also a hobby boat builder. And she was put into contact with me and said, I would like to gift you some of Russ's tools. So got a little piece of Russ on my table, and I'm really happy to have that here. It's a cool piece. I might do a restoration on this. If you want me to, I will put a poll up, or you can leave me a comment down in the comment section if you want me to restore this. I kind of dig the patina on it though, and that it's still got some old paint and stuff on it, but yeah, you never know. It might be kind of cool to do a restoration on it. So yeah, a little piece of Russ. A maker I never knew, but I feel like he's here with me. If you got something out of today's video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you click that little bell, you'll get a notification every time I upload something to YouTube. There are numerous ways to support my channel. There's Patreon, there's Buy Me a Coffee, there's links down in the description for all of the supplies that I use and tools that I use right here in my workshop. That goes out to Amazon, and I get a little commission if you purchase something through that. And also you can go to my website, housemade.us. I have stickers, pieces, parts, and plans for the Revolution 2x72 belt grinder project. Any of those things, if you help me out, that would be super appreciated. Thanks again, guys, for hanging out in the workshop and studio. My name is Brian House, and this has been Housework.